So if anyone has questions, there's a microphone here. If you'd like to ask us anything about this journey we're all on.
Hey guys, I just want to thank you. That looks brilliant. I love the throwback feel of it. It's going to be amazing. And I was just wondering, you guys jumped out on your own. I mean, you've got art, writing, acting, music. It's brilliant. What is the reaction you guys have seen from the industry? Has that evolved over time? Is it, oh, you guys are on your own, and then, okay, Kickstarter is going pretty well for you?
Well, the response has actually been very, very favorable. I mean, some of the people who've been tweeting and blogging and just talking about us, like Jane Espenson, J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof, Guillermo del Toro, the guys at the top of the industry are very in favor of what we're doing, and they don't see it as a second cousin at all. They see it as doing something wonderful and pulling it off. If you watch World Open Time, you'll see what we were able to do for a few 100,000 more, and that's really the proof of the pudding.
I think also what's really amazing is the reaction that I'm seeing from people below the line. Forgetting about the producers and all the executives. I have people emailing me constantly who work daily in visual effects or makeup. I used to be a makeup artist, so people who are calling me and writing me and saying how exciting this is. And actually, I knew people would like it, but I've kind of been taken by surprise a little bit.
People love it.
Almost all the help that I've gotten on visual effects, I haven't asked for. They've actually come to me and said, Doug, I really would love to put something in here, because they see something interesting happening. That will affect probably their careers.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting because we had lunch, Cindy and I had lunch, and she asked a question, and a lot of people have asked me this question, which is, well, what if the studio or network came forward and wanted to do this with you? And the thing is, I keep saying the same answer, which is our obligation, and certainly my obligation as a writer, producer, director, and by the way, I'm directing the first of these movies, so just to let you know, I didn't mention that, but my obligation, and all of our obligation, is to our audience and to our backers. And so if a studio or a network comes up, we'll have the conversation, but we have to maintain creative control. It's like with Joe Straczynski on Babylon 5. When I wrote for that show, and I actually started Joe in the business, I gave him, I developed Captain Power, the Captain Power TV show. Yeah, and thank you. And Joe, and I was the one who got Joe hired on that show, story editor, and John Copeland and Doug Netter were the producers who he then went on to do Babylon 5 with. But we all know, look, when I wrote The Twilight Zone Companion, I crawled through Rod Serling's attic and went through his files and his scrapbooks, and I had that's a great experience. And we all know that all the shows we loved, there was one visionary guy, whether it was Roddenberry or Ron Moore on Galactica or Joe on Babylon 5 or or Serling or any of these guys. There was one guy who had the vision, and by just being strong-willed or just incredibly creative, they got it through. And so those are all the shows we love. Those are all the movies we love too. And so that's what we're doing here. And it's a mass brain of all these people making this dream come true. So that's yeah. So
good deal. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah.
For Doug Drexler, my roommates Dan and Heather Dodd said they'd love to be here, but they couldn't make it. So they're sorry.
Heather was just working with us this week.
Awesome.
She's like a baby.
Yes. So they're very happy. About how to get something going like this, something independent. I think you guys did a great marketing campaign for this. I mean, it was aggressive, you got the word out there. Yeah. For someone who wants to do something like this, what would you recommend to do, how to get around to doing an aggressive marketing campaign?
Yeah. I can answer that, and I don't know if Justin, if you want to take this on, but I spent months researching Kickstarter, and we spent months working on our Kickstarter video. You must approach this with your A game. If you say I'm going to make something wonderful, you have to create something wonderful they can see that isn't just clips from some old movie or whatever. It has to be something new and something fresh, because otherwise people are going to feel cheated. They're not going to believe you. So you come to it with Michael and I are writing this. We're going to write the fourth movie together, and I'm sorry that we haven't. And you jumped in, Michael, but Michael, one thing that Michael showed me tonight was, we're working out, faster than light drives, all of these things where he's asking me these tough questions, and we're thrashing out our fourth story, even while I'm finishing the first one, and Doug and I are working on the half-hour story. So you treat it seriously. It's exactly the same as if we were writing for Paramount or Universal or any of the other guys I've written for. Justin, is there anything you wanted to address in this, or?
Yeah. First thing is tell your story visually. Really do it in such a way that people can understand it fast. That's first. Second of all is develop a wonderful, fantastic, amazing team. help you spread the word. The coordination that David brought to the table was huge. Leah and EJ and Brian, they've all been such an amazing part of everything from visualizing the message to telling the message and spreading it. So really surround yourself by wonderful people and tell your story in the way that you want people to interpret it. Not with the message you want to send, but the way you want them to interpret it and the call to action that you want them to do.
Great. And Cindy, is there anything you wanted to add? I don't know if you have anything you'd like to say.
Just be yourself.
Be yourself. Yes, that's it. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. But authenticity is very important. I think one thing that's very clear when you see us up on this panel is we're dying to do this. We're as thrilled about it as anyone in the audience could possibly be. So, but thanks.
And just one more thing, right quick. As a VFX artist without a side project, do you guys need a hand?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You bet, you bet.
Sure, you know how to get in touch with me, right?
We'll do.
Great, terrific.
So do you see this as kind of something unusual, or do you see that the future for a lot of science fiction might be to go without a studio, to go with more Kickstarter and crowdsourced kind of funding?
You have to be willing to do something for a much lower budget, and that's why I had to affiliate with people who knew how to do high quality at a low number. And so for me, doing World Enough in Time was a way of showing I could pull this off with Doug's help and with Christina Moses and all of our wonderful team. And then Neil Johnson, who isn't here, he's our other producer. He's done 9 science fiction films in a row with very high quality production, very low budgets, and he's in the UK shooting a movie right now. But you really have to team up with people who know how to do this. I think ultimately what's going to happen is more and more people who are, who are working in the studio in that realm will come into this realm simply because they want to see their work made. They want, those of you who know Guillermo del Toro, At the Mountains of Madness was all set to go with James Cameron and Guillermo writing and directing and Tom Cruise starring in it, and the studio said no. Well, that would have been a wonderful film. And they just said no because it didn't fit a business model. Well, ultimately at the end of the day, people are going to get more and more tired of that on the creative side. They're just going to say, well, let's come up with a different plan. And this is a different plan, and it works. So we'll take the final 2 questions, and then we'll say goodnight.
Well, I actually just met Mark at a panel yesterday, so I had no idea what the heck this was. It sounded really cool, and the drawings look cool, so I figured, sure, let's show up, and it looks phenomenal. And the music sounds really good, and you said it's going to be recorded with live musicians.
Yes.
Do you have musicians lined up?
We're actively seeking people to play on the soundtrack.
Do you need brass players?
Oh, plenty.
Yeah.
He's a hero without horns.
I would love to help out.
Great. Thank you. Absolutely.
Hey there, everybody. This is maybe for Mark and Michael and Doug, as a sort of storytelling question. Obviously, you're drawing inspiration from sci-fi productions of 50 or 60 years ago, which is a wonderful thing. And while those things are very iconic and they lay the bedrock for a lot of modern sci-fi, there's the danger that they are today seen as antiquated or, God forbid, even hokey in their execution. I was just wondering, when you're approaching this, what steps are you looking at just in the writing process in terms of bringing that sort of sensibility into the modern day and adapting it to modern audiences so it comes across more smoothly?
The answer to that is we're not doing it in any way nostalgic or tongue-in-cheek. We're basically, here's the one thing that science fiction never predicted. None of them predicted this. Heinlein, Asimov, Ray Bradbury, Robert Sheckley, T.R. Sturgeon, the hundreds of science fiction writers who were writing during that period. None of them ever wrote a story where we'd go to the moon and stop. Okay? Okay? So we are just continuing what we should have been doing all those years ago. And we're looking back to the 50s for a certain design aesthetic, but we're not going to be shackled to it, and we're certainly not shackled to it in terms of story, because ultimately, every science fiction story that we all love, it's the characters. It's the characters, it's the characters, it's the characters. You have to engage with those people and their challenges, their dilemmas, their longings, their dreams, their fears. And so that's where we're putting our stories. And that's why I wanted the actors aboard, that's why I wanted,
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the optimism and hope that you are bringing back or bringing to the project, I think we're very much in a climate these days where we need a little optimism and hope. If
you don't envision an optimistic future, it doesn't happen. If you don't vision, an optimistic future. If you don't see it, there's no way it's going to happen.
Yes.
You have to put that back into kids' heads.
Yes, yes, and then to answer your question, Michael, what he pulled up here was the conversation we've been having on faster than light drives, the cutting edge physics, and a lot of scientists from NASA and JPL, and even the real Space Command, which is the military arm of space travel. We've been having those conversations, so it's not going to be creaky in that way. And another thing, Ray Bradbury said to me, looking back over a lifetime, you see that love was the answer to everything. And I think that I know that the power of love and compassion has been very important in my life, and certainly in the lives of all of us on this panel. And I don't think a hopeful vision is hokey. I don't think it's creepy. I don't think it's false. I think we need those visions now every bit as much as they needed them back in the 50s. In the 50s, you had the Cold War, you had the threat of nuclear annihilation. Those were not dreamy times, but hope got us through, vision got us through. And so that's what we're looking to now. So, yeah. Yes, please, Ian.
This is just a straight technical answer to your question. So I'm essentially drawing the pharaoh up there. That's hokey from thousands, millions of years ago, right? So that's been around. You grew up with it in your school books. It's old hat. But I didn't start there. I started with, where are you? Where's my mom?
There he is.
Started with the man in the corner, right? Because he's brand new today. And there's brand new stuff there that's never existed before in one human being. He's unique. So I took him and I drew him and I looked at that face and I tried to bring something out of that face into a pharaoh. And that's what always makes something new, is you bring today into the past. Yeah, and you do it as honestly as you possibly can. I think it's when you just try to copy and honor and do an homage to the past, you'll only ever be as good as the past. You'll never step beyond into your own vision. So really, I'm hoping that what we're trying to do is bring our vision into what we loved and those things in the past.
Great, great. Thank you. Thanks, Ian. So in closing, thank you all. So in closing, again, the Kickstarter page is spacecommandmovie.com. If you want to pledge, we love that. Our party tomorrow night is the Embassy Suites, the Monterey Ballroom. By the way, George Murray, my friend from Coast to Coast, is going to be playing one of the roles. He's going to be playing a character named Dexter Monterey, coincidentally, who's an alien, oddly enough. And it's the Embassy Suites, Monterey Ballroom, 6 to 9 p.m. tomorrow, and the signing is Geekscape, booth 3919, 11 a.m. We have gorgeous posters for Doug and Ian to sign them for you for free. So thank you very much. We're very glad that you're here.